Well, as I look out among this group, I can see that it's been a long, long time since any of us played hide and seek. But I still remember playing. Do you? You need a group of people, usually 4 or more works best. You establish some home base and some boundaries that you're not allowed to go out of. You select an it, and it is the seeker. At first, it closes their eyes and counts to 100 while the other people hide. And then you have these interesting phrases, don't you? Like apple peaches, pumpkin pie, anyone not ready, holler I, or ready or not, here I come, or anyone around my base is it. I mean, isn't it interesting to think how those phrases may have occurred as part of that game? And then the it has to find people that are hiding and report where they are before they return to home base. 1, 2, 3 on Marjorie, who's hiding back behind the organ. It's a great game. I have a lot of good memories playing that game with my cousins at Grandma and Grandpa's house. It's mostly an outdoor game, although you can sort of adapt maybe and play a little bit indoors. We used to play in the neighborhood too. There was always one boy who would hide too well. Hardly ever could find him. So after a while, we would just give up. Let him rot wherever he is. The heck with it. And we would start a new game. And then he would show up, steaming mad. Hey, this game is called hide and seek, not hide and give up. You never found me. You can't start a new game. But we would get mad right back. Well, you must have hidden out of bounds, or we would have found you. And then from there, it just was a yelling match, about the rules and who obeys the rules and who likes who, and then whose dad can beat up everybody else. The typical childish stuff. Do you remember that? I do. Thank goodness we adults have put all that childish stuff away, haven't we? Oh my goodness. I had a friend who was watching some kids in the neighborhood play hide and seek using his yard. And he knew that there was one boy right underneath his bay window who was hiding under a pile of leaves. He'd been there a long time. And no one had found him. And he could tell that the kids were about to give up on this game. And he was willing to help the game along. So he was trying to figure out how to do that. So he thought about standing up, and pointing in the window so that the kids could find him, or maybe going out and getting his leaf blower and blowing off the sidewalk, and he was thinking of different things that he could do. And finally, he just opened up the window and screamed, "Hey, kid, get found!" Scared the poor little fella to death. He wet himself and ran home crying. Not much help. Do you know what occurs to me, though? The sad thing about all this is how grown-ups play hide and seek. I knew a man who had terminal cancer. He was a doctor. And he understood well about the dying process. Decided that he did not want his family to suffer through that. So he hid it from them, making excuses until the very end. After he died, many people thought he was one of the bravest men they knew. how he could bear that all alone. Must have been hard for him to do that. How strong a man he surely was. But privately, his family and his closest friends were angry. And they were hurt. And they were grief-stricken because he hid too well from them. And it had a drastic effect. Peggy and I had two really good friends shortly after we were married. Name was Tim and Sue. They were two college students dating each other. They were about 6 years younger than we were. They were a really good-looking guy and gal. Came from Christian families. Both of them were part of the witness team from the church. Shortly after Peggy and I announced that we were pregnant, with shouts and cheers, Sue announced that she was pregnant with shock and tears. And so they got married. We were in their wedding. The due dates were only a week apart. And so those next 9 months bonded us close together. And we both birthed baby boys 2 days apart, Jared and Jimmy. And so we celebrated birthdays and holidays. Tim and I were on the same softball team. We went to the same church together. We were good friends. And so the night that we swung by their apartment and saw Sue loading her father's truck with furniture because she was moving out to get a divorce, left us absolutely dumbfounded. It devastated us. They hid too well from us. It was painful. As a new pastor, brand new pastor in my very first church, I remember well, almost caused me to leave the ministry. Sitting on the side of a bed, trying to console a woman in her mid to late 70s, sobbing uncontrollably. She was afraid of dying. She did not want to face God. This was her second husband. She had married her first husband for the express purpose of getting out of a 12-year abusive relationship with her father. And for the last 50 years, she had been hiding immense feelings of guilt and shame for that activity. And she simply could not endure it any longer. This is hide-and-seek adult style. It's not a game, and it's not fun. When grown-ups hide, they use rationale like, well, I don't want anyone to know. What would people think? I'm just so embarrassed to even be in this spot. Everyone will believe that I'm a bad person. I don't want to bother anyone else with my problems. I mean, they all have enough problems of their own. And while these thoughts seem reasonable, many times they're actually used by the evil one to compound our misery. Listen, God did not intend for us to live in hiding. That's the reason for the fellowship of believers, the church, so that we can divide our burdens and we can multiply our joy. When we're hiding, we can't do that. And as an aside, as a body of believers, we have to learn to exhibit non-judgmental attitudes in order to divide burdens. We must learn how to be accepting even when we're not condoning. So today in the parable, the younger son wanted to be on his own. He was hiding from his family. You know, in modern psychology, we talk about defense mechanisms. Hiding is one of the oldest of those. I mean, after all, it was used by Adam and Eve in the garden. And ever since then, their offspring, you and me, we've been using that same approach. But here's the truth. We cannot hide from God. Adam and Eve found that out. Why we can't learn what they learned, I'm not sure. The prophet Jeremiah said, "Am I only a God nearby, declares the Lord, and not a God who is far away? Can anyone hide in secret places so that I cannot see them? Do I not fill heaven and earth?" No, we cannot hide from God. We can only hide from ourselves and each other. And it's wrong for us to think otherwise than that. It's like playing peekaboo with babies. You know that game? You know, baby covers his eyes, thinks no one can see them because they can't see anything, and then you pull the cover down and go, "Oh, peekaboo." Pull the cover away, and all of a sudden, they're there, they're found. We know better than that, don't we? Here's another truth. You might be able to hide really well for a while, but nobody can hide forever. So when we're hiding, we should be thinking about ultimately being seen. Paul writes in his letter to the Corinthians, "It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait till the Lord comes. He will bring light to what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of people's hearts." Nothing remains hidden forever. You know, hiding has to do with secrets. In the Bible, hiding and secrets are associated with nighttime and darkness. Biblical nights were without any light. They're not like our nights. That's why the deeds at night were talked about being hidden, because you couldn't see at night. That's why it's fun to play hide and seek as a game at night. Most crimes take place at night because it's hidden by darkness. Conversely, God is light. We sang about that in our second hymn today. In him, there's no darkness at all. Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." When we belong to him, we become children of light, not children of the dark. Light is symbolic for nothing being hidden, no secrets. That's why when we gather together as the people of God, we talk about the light shining among us. How about this with the game hide and seek? Ollie, Ollie, in free. Do you remember that? Not everyone used that, but a lot of people use that in a game. That's when someone makes it to home base before it discovers them, and by getting to home base free, everybody else gets to come home free. This is the redeeming part of hide and seek from God's perspective. And it's the best part and the most glorious outcome of the story in our parable this morning. And this also is what ties into Easter and the resurrection. This son of mine was dead, now he's alive. He was lost, he was in hiding, and now he is found. So enough hiding. Come on home. You're safe. You're free. And we call a group together and we hug and we celebrate our freedom. You know, that's exactly what Jesus did for us when he rose from the dead from the tomb. It's the resurrection call to everyone who believes. Ollie, Ollie, in free. Come on. All who believe in Jesus are safe. You can come out of hiding. You're free. Come home. Come home where you're forgiven. Come home where you're accepted. Come home where you are loved and you can be healed. Come home where the past is gone and the new has come. Come home, we'll start a new game. And speaking about new games, God has one I think that he would prefer us play rather than hide and seek. I rather believe God is kind of partial to the game sardines. Do you remember that game? The it goes and hides. And then everyone else goes to look for it. And when you find it, you're supposed to quietly hide the same place where it is. Soon, people are stacking up on each other like sardines, or maybe more theologically, like a pile of puppies. And pretty soon, one of them starts to snicker, and then to wiggle, and then to giggle, and then to laugh, and pretty soon the whole group starts to get rambunctious, and everybody gets found. Definitely. That's the game God likes. Everyone gets found. I'm pretty sure that's the exact reason for the church. A place where people are all piled together, laughing and fellowshipping, and everyone is found. So here's the gospel call for today. To anyone here who might be hiding, hey kid, get found. And by the way, Ollie, Ollie, in free. Hey, want to play sardines? Heavenly Father, thank you that you are everywhere all the time, that you know everything. Thank you, Lord, that we actually cannot hide from you. Help us to get found. And then to celebrate that. and then help others get found. In Christ's name, amen.